It's a chance the business literally wouldn't have existed if I didn't put her on A2. And it was on a small £8 per month server. And since then, it's grown to easily 1 million users per month on there now.
So user search, how do you describe the industry?
So OSINT is the general term, open source investigation, which is a way for police, governments, private investigators to use data that's freely available on the internet. So without having to log into things to assist with investigations. So if you've got, I provide a lot of services to crimes related to children, for example, or missing persons. So the police will be trying to track someone. So they'll use my service to then see what information is out on the internet to enrich the current investigation with more data, which may then lead to a wider network of criminals, or it might lead to identifying more victims that are potentially connected to perpetrator. So that's my main user case for my platform, and that's what the industry generally uses my platform for. It's not just for children crimes, it's for any form of crime for an investigation. I worked for the police in Wales, in the UK, and then the National Crime Agency. I never really released that information about myself because I worked for them. It was sensitive, but now I work in software development, not that industry, so I can say who I work for. So I basically use my combined knowledge of how the police investigate bad people, and I turn it into an automation process so that these investigations can then be done much, much faster by less trained people. So that was the intention, because I saw that as an issue 17 years ago. And that's when I first built the platform on A2 hosting. I saw an issue, I built a little script while being a civil servant, because I saw everyone was doing manual investigations and I knew there was an automated way of doing that. So I instantly, from that script, turned something that would take about 4 hours to about 8 minutes. And then my department started using it, and then they started including the data and the results in intelligence reports to the US, for example. And then the US investigators started realizing the benefits and they started doing it. So it was the very first, the term is called a reverse username lookup, which is a very common term these days. But 17 years ago, it was the first built, and that's why it became so popular. And it was on a small £8 per month server on A2 hosting.
Yeah.
And since then, it's grown to probably it's easily 1 million users per month on there now. And I've got a small team of software developers around the world. It's a fully fledged platform, investigation platform now. And I quickly realized that because everyone wanted to use it in my department, it was difficult to issue updates to these people. And that's why I put it on a website. And A2 was so I keep calling it A2, you've renamed now. That's when I first described it. But in those days, I literally didn't have a clue what web servers were. Well, I knew what web server was, but I was a digital forensic expert in those days, not a software developer. So I didn't know much about website administration or security. I couldn't really do web coding. So I literally started from scratch with A2 and grew. And as the business has grown, my account has grown, and the server resources I've needed have grown. So yeah, I've been with A2 since the start.
Can you speak to what you were first initially looking for in a hosting provider? And then obviously as you've grown, your needs have changed, and how, then the expectations and your needs have changed from a hosting provider. And then maybe about how we've then, grown, how you've grown the services with us as you've grown the business.
I think it's the anxiousness of the unknown. I've got an idea. I want to build something. I know to do the building part, but I don't really know anything about the server part. And I think assistance that they give in managing the host, because there is a lot of software that needs to go on there, complicated software, and there's weird directions I have to send traffic and integrate it with Cloudflare for security, stuff like that. I didn't have a clue about any of that. So I would literally just send emails to the support team, and I think originally my thoughts were, I've given up. I've Googled it. I can't work it out. I'll send it to them, but I'm going to expect them to not really care. They're not really going to answer properly, or it's going to be a small call center in the middle of nowhere. And no, so that's the initial thought process you'd have. But when I actually get the support, then it's the opposite, and they just do what you need. It almost feels like another arm of your business in a way, and because you can just give them a shout. So that was the initial challenge I had, which I then realized was no longer really a challenge, which was nice. And then when the business grew, I needed to increase the resources on the server, but I put it off for months, thinking this is going to be an absolute nightmare. All those emails, because I get customer emails, and all, I've got a database. Again, I didn't have a clue how to do that. I've never migrated stuff before. I also didn't expect that to be a service. Yeah, there was no hassle at all. They just said, "I'll let you know when it's done," and then it was done, and there was no issue. So I've increased my server structure to the level that will last me for another 5 years. I didn't have to do any work. I'm at the stage now where I can self-manage the servers completely independently, which means technically I could go to a cheaper service. I think for me, the benefits I get is worth that 10-15%. I know the competing service that does offer the lowest costs. The reviews say the support is terrible.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that, we strive to do is really give so much value around, the offering.
That's why I'm still here. So I'll probably still be here when I'm 60.